Welcome to Kairos, the financial planning podcast. Kairos is a Greek word that means the opportune moment. This is a monthly 20-minute personal finance podcast on doing the right thing at the right time. We drop a new episode on the first Wednesday of every month. You should listen to Kairos if you want to understand personal finance without a product push. We do not market or advertise any products on this show. On Kairos, you will hear us discuss stories about how financial planning adds value to different people. These stories are familiar and relevant. On each episode, we share insights on financial planning and practical examples of how it works. This audio content is for informational and educational purposes only. Nothing contained in this audio shall constitute or be deemed to constitute advice. Always seek the advice of a professional with any questions you may have regarding your financial decisions. Kairos is here to help you experience a smoother journey to wealth creation.
Hi, I'm Namrita and welcome back to Kairos, the I Thought Plan podcast. The coronavirus outbreak has brought a change in the way we work and function. It's completely changed our outlook on life. And one unfortunate impact of COVID-19 is an increase in unemployment. US unemployment claims are on rise, and this fear is feeding on people's mind day and night. We all have close friends and family who have lost their jobs or taken deep pay cuts. My close friend Akshay is an IT professional. He recently celebrated his 35th birthday at home in lockdown. Job security has been weighing on Akshay's mind because the IT industry is laying off so many people. After the initial years of marriage, he realized that he shoulders quite a few financial responsibilities. His parents are getting older and he is planning to grow his family. Akshay knows that there are many financial commitments and aspirations that he must address. He worries about how he will cope up financially if he loses his job. So Sam, is the situation really bleak for Akshay?
Akshay's concerns about layoffs are legitimate. Many people in the IT sector have lost their jobs. To make it worse, there's also a hiring freeze in the industry. Getting back to work is not as easy as it used to be. Post lockdown, a lot of valuable courses, certifications, and content are available at deep discounts. Akshay should use this opportunity to upskill and reskill. Having in demand skills may give him an edge in the job market should the worst occur. He could also look at freelancing options to supplement his income. From a financial perspective, the first thing Akshay needs to do is to create an emergency fund. He can do this by reviewing his investments and generating liquidity from them. He also needs to start cutting back on his expenses. Financial anxiety isn't going to help. Akshay's situation isn't as bleak as he's imagining it to be. In our last podcast, we extensively discussed how financial planning adds value in turbulent times, and there are some great lessons for Akshay to take away from there. The silver lining here is that Akshay has already started thinking about his financial goals. We often think about goals only when they are imminent. For example, we start saving for vacations a couple of months before they happen. Or we think about our children's higher education when they are in middle school or high school. The secret to achieving our goals with minimum financial stress is to anticipate them before they materialize.
I'm glad you brought up this point about setting goals. I'm curious to understand when is the right time to start setting goals. And Jaya, is it really that important to have financial goals?
So, people feel differently about setting goals and planning. What I hear most often is I have all my goals planned in my mind and I don't need to write it down. But you know what the best thing about writing down your goals is? It's the clarity and the motivation that comes from that exercise. So, when a goal is in your mind, it's more abstract, but when you write it down, it becomes concrete and it sort of loses that vague nature. An unplanned goal is more like just a desire or a wish. And coming back to when is the right time to set goals, the right time is when you have a dream. It can be when you are in your school or in the college. So the teenager in you will remember saving money to go to the canteen and scraping pocket money to celebrate birthdays. You may start setting goals at other milestones like first job or upon marriage or when you start your own family. So as we age, financial responsibilities keep increasing. There are milestones like you wanting to provide for your children, planning a sabbatical, or going on a vacation, or sharing a home with your spouse. And you can retire from work, but not really from the financial responsibility that you've got. So, really, it's never too early nor too late to set goals and plan your finances. The important thing here is to note that you don't need a major life event to start planning and setting goals. Say you start providing for financial goals early, the best case would be you are ready for everything, and the worst case would be you have extra money. So, I don't think anybody will complain about the worst case scenario here.
Jaya, you said that right time to start is when you have a dream. But what if someone doesn't have any goals? What goal should they aim for in that case?
I'd like to answer this question. For many of us, the word goal is a bit intimidating. The word itself has a serious connotation and we associate it with certain types of people, like, say, high achievers. I think it's time that we break that stereotype. If we really think about it, each one of us has goals. And a goal is really just a test of your own imagination. Let me give you a few examples. For starters, those in their 20s should be saving to spend. This is a really good habit to build, and I have quite a few examples to share. Someone I know is saving to buy a Sabyasachi dress. She's doing this so that she'll never get into credit card debt and she'll be able to fully enjoy crossing that milestone. One of our clients loves to travel. She has a few trips planned every year. So her goal is to save for her travel expenses. She sets an upper limit for the year and withdraws from the fund whenever she needs the money. Her trips are spontaneous, but her savings are planned. One of my friends also did a lot of research on financial planning and planned her way into a sabbatical. She structured her finances so that she didn't have to worry about money during the break. For many people, a DIY approach is not feasible, so working with a financial planner is the alternative. And last but not least, we all have something that we enjoy which costs money. For me, it's books. One of our clients inspired me to create what he called a Live a Little Fund. It's basically a way to enjoy your money. So I think that's something each of us could aspire to have. Now, getting back to the second part of your question, which related to what should people be planning for. In a traditional sense, if you're married and in your 30s, you want to start thinking seriously about retirement, sending your children to college, and providing for your aging parents. Planning prepares you for these milestones. Otherwise, it can feel overwhelming, as if there's suddenly a lot on your plate. Given where we are now in the pandemic, I think there are a few universal goals. A lot of people are facing pay cuts and job losses. For many of us, medical emergencies are a reality. So the top 3 financial goals for everyone are: 1. Creating an emergency reserve, 2. Purchasing medical insurance, and 3. Purchasing life insurance. I hope that helps.
Yes, that's quite helpful. But we are all human and not everybody is inclined to plan or set goals. Some of us tend to procrastinate. So, Jaya, what challenges does one face when they don't have a plan? Does anything in particular come to your mind?
So, challenges on top of my mind, I think there are 3 major challenges that one would face. They are random utilization of funds and an unplanned retirement, and also importantly, an incorrect asset allocation. So, let me cover each of these points in detail. So random utilization of funds, right? If you don't have concrete financial goals, you are likely to spend way more than you should actually be spending. You will also end up spending on things that are not in line with your values or your priorities. And then when it comes to providing for your priorities, you will fall into a trap. Your financial resources will be channeled towards whatever goals arrive first, regardless of its priorities. For example, you might end up compromising your child's higher education by spending on a car. This leads me to my second point, which is an unplanned retirement. Ask anyone in their 50s who didn't plan for retirement how they are managing. The struggle is quite real. Suddenly, the children are going abroad, they have properties that they are not able to sell, and retirement seems totally out of reach. So, these goals are set in stone, they are going to change over time, but you don't want to start from the scratch when you are older. So, one should have an idea of how much money they need to live comfortably. And one should also know what financial resources and assets they can rely on when they are retired. For many of us, there's going to be a gap in those numbers. So, planning early bridges that gap in a very smoother manner. Last one that I mentioned about is the incorrect asset allocation. So, you must have heard of people investing in real estate and buying multiple properties for their children's wedding. But closer to the time of the goal, they struggle to liquidate, and chances are they end up with personal loans or borrowing from their own family. Another scenario is where investments are being made in new lips, mainly for the children's higher education. So, this kind of incorrect asset mapping snowballs into huge money mistakes. And unfortunately, one realizes this only they are closer to the time of providing for their goals. Another major mistake is not diversifying their investments. I've known investors in their 20s who have only invested in the equities. Their sole focus is the long term and they see no merit in the other asset classes. This is quite risky. So, when you do not have the right asset allocation, you will not be ready to deal with the financial emergencies.
Interestingly, this is one thing that came up in my conversation with Akshay. Like you mentioned, he is an aggressive investor and he was seeking long term returns. But now his equity investments across portfolios are 25% to 30% down. He's worried. With a planned approach, he would be probably in a better situation today. Could planning guarantee a better outcome, or is it just the beginning?
You're absolutely spot on. Planning is only the beginning. Many people think that financial planning ends with a financial plan. An eloquent quote that I found on Austin Kleon's blog says, if you want to be the noun, first do the verb. Basically, if you want to be financially independent, you have to plan. If you want to be wealthy, you must invest. And if you want to achieve your goals, you need to make progress. Essentially, a plan is the noun, planning and investing are the verbs. I'm sure each one of us has procrastinated on a deadline, a project, or a submission. We know how the pressure mounts when the clock is ticking and the work needs to get done. If you don't plan and implement your financial commitments and aspirations, you're definitely signing up for financial stress. We had a couple in their mid 30s come in and do a plan a few years back. There was a lot of enthusiasm at the start with respect to providing for their retirement and their daughter's education. The plan was easily achievable. Unfortunately, once the plan was ready, complacency set in. For successful professionals juggling family, friends, office, and finances, it's easy to predict what takes the back seat. 2 years down the line, they returned to review their plan. This time around, they really had to stretch to meet their goals. If they wanted to stick to their retirement timeline, they had to save 8% more every year for the next 20 years. And for their daughter's education, they needed to save 30% more for the next 10 years. Now that calls for a significant jump in savings. Even accounting for salary hikes, this is not going to be easy to achieve. The cost of delay is quite severe in almost every case. When you're not in a planning ecosystem, you have no idea what you're in for. And what's scary is you don't understand how much worse it could be if you don't act. Part of the planning process is to run different projections. This includes answering questions like, what if you start late? What if your income doesn't grow? What if your investments return less? When you plan, you know how you're going to deal with these situations. Of course, you can't plan for every scenario. I think coronavirus is a clear example, but you are definitely better prepared for some contingencies. And more importantly, you're doing the verb. You're working towards your goals and your financial well being.
My last question is in the interest of our listeners. What are the advantages of goal based financial planning?
Like Sam mentioned in the earlier example, planning and reviewing go side by side. A review strengthens your plan because after a review, it's more current and relevant to your life. And you know with much better clarity what needs to change and what needs to be added. So, a review is especially useful now with so much noise in the financial markets. Tweaking your asset allocation to suit your plan will make a huge difference. I earlier talked about asset mapping when we were discussing the challenges of not having any goals or a plan. So, asset mapping is not a new concept, it's something very familiar to all of us. In fact, it's been practiced for generations. You will hear people say, so this apartment is for my son, or I have this piece of jewelry for my daughter's wedding. And even something as simple as knowing that your provident fund contribution is for retirement is an asset mapping. When you have a plan in place, you're not going to dip into your PF money for anything apart from retirement. Many people end up using the PF money to pay off a housing loan and wind up with less to live with post retirement. So with the right asset mapping, you are securing your golden years, which is more important. And this is how planning follows a very structured approach. Do you know how much your goals cost? There's a benchmark and you are motivated to cross it. So we are so much more willing to do whatever it takes when we know what our goal is. And in that way, goal based planning sets the direction and it dictates the course. So, with this, you analyze your priorities and control exactly what to do with your hard earned money. So, to sum up, the main advantage here is that it's very empowering and it improves financial well being.
Thank you both for your inputs. So, setting goals helps us articulate what we want from life, and it is an important part of our journeys. Planning provides more clarity on our goals and their individual priorities. Goal based planning isn't restricted to a particular age or profile. With the goal based financial plan, there is a better alignment of assets to goals. It's like having a roadmap of your financial resources. Who wouldn't love to tick an item off their bucket list? Planning enables that since you get to measure your progress. Eventually, you will feel the thrill of crossing a set milestone. To make your goals happen, you need to write them down, and financial planning is a great way to get started. So, thank you for listening in, and we hope you find this podcast helpful. You can reach us at info@ithought.co.in or drop a WhatsApp message to 950027285. Stay tuned for more updates. Thank you.